Hi friend, welcome to the House of Sugar Creek. I am Taylor Bradford and today is the day that I'm showing you the chairs and what it took for us to get the container back onto its resting post, because that was an adventure all on its own. So here we go. So today's the moment of truth. The moment of truth where I open up my big container to check on the chairs. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about why the chairs have the chairs. Like when I say the chairs, I say the chairs because I ordered these chairs from China, custom made, to match my farm tables that we build in-house. And it took me over a year just to find a manufacturer that I was comfortable with and that was going to build them the way that I wanted them built and had a stain that would match my table without actually like giving up my stain, because yes, my stain took me 2 hours to create at Sherwin-Williams, and I'm kind of partial to it. So without giving up my stain, finding a manufacturer that would already have a stain that was really close to my stain and go with my farm tables. So like I said, it took me over a year, and it's not like I can just easily hop on a plane to China and go visit all of the furniture manufacturers. And it's a pretty big decision to buy a container of chairs. I could have bought a partial container, but then I would be running the risk of what else was going to go in that container with my chairs. And so I just opted to do the full container. So a 20-foot container of chairs came over to me from China, and getting the chairs from China wasn't the issue. It was a great process from start to finish. I highly recommend the manufacturer that I used and will purchase from them in the future. I did not care for my US-based broker. And I say that because the China manufacturer got it all the way to the Houston port. And then my US customs broker brokered it into the United States, or in through the Houston port. And the container was scheduled, once it went through customs, scheduled to be put on the rail, brought up to Dallas, and then picked up by a semi and brought to me. So they arrived to Houston without issue. And the problems began in Houston. So with customs, you have either a B, or C check. A, they look at your paperwork and check you in. B, they look at your paperwork, they pop your lock, open the doors, close the doors, put a new lock on, and check you in. C, they look at your paperwork, they pop your lock, they open the doors, they pull it all out, they check it all, they load it back in, put a lock back on, and check you in. And it's a crapshoot what you're gonna get. And I ended up getting an A. So there was no need. They didn't pop the lock. They looked at my paperwork. It was in order. They checked me in. And that's where the problem then happened. After customs checked it in, the container got lost. My broker could not find the container. My container was missing in the Houston port for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. By the time they found it, they tried putting it on the rail, but my container, for whatever reason, had rail damage and could not be tied down to the train platform. And so they had to switch containers, which meant they had to pop the lock, pull all the chairs out, and reload them back into a new container. And I fought tooth and nail with my broker to not let that happen. Let me send a semi down there and load it up and bring it. Houston's not that far from me. Let me send a semi down there and load it up and bring it to me. They wouldn't let me do it. And I was like, I don't want a dock handler getting paid $10, $15 an hour to handle chairs that were custom made, and took me a long time to get them, because in the process of purchasing the chairs, China's government shut down all furniture manufacturers for a 6 to 8 week period. So my chairs had started and were on the assembly line, and then had to basically stop for 6 to 8 weeks, and while the government had them shut down, and then they restarted again. And there wasn't anything my furniture manufacturer could have done to prevent that. That was just a government thing, and I wasn't irked by that. I was extremely irked by my broker not giving me an option to get another semi down to Houston to pick up that container, so that it would not have to be unloaded. And I said, I'm worried about the damage. Now, thankfully, I had bought insurance on my chairs, so they unloaded that container, unfortunately, reloaded it back up, and then eventually got on the rail, got up to Dallas, and the trucking company that was hired or brokered out by my broker failed to give me a call like they said in my contract. So my semi guy got here, and there was nobody here for him. And you have 1 hour to unload your container. They don't just drop your container and come back and get it. You have 1 hour to unload your container once they arrive. Well, I requested, when you leave the Dallas yard, please call me so I can make sure I have manpower on hand to unload 370 chairs. The semi guy showed up. Nobody was there. They tracked me down, said, hey, we've been here for an hour. There's nobody here. And I'm like, yeah, somebody was supposed to call. And of course they're like, well, we did. And I was like, yeah, no, you didn't. I will be there in 20 minutes. I live 20 minutes away. It took us a little bit over an hour to get them completely unloaded, and thankfully we had a container for them to go in. The container they're in right now is a much bigger container than I started with. I actually have the container they originally went in once they got off the container off the semi. Felt like I just needed a bigger container anyways, which is the one that you guys have already seen. It took a while, and they were damaged. 75 of my 370 chairs were damaged, because they came out of the supposed container that would not go on the rail, had rail damage. So I did get compensation back through the insurance policy I had, but that still doesn't fix the 75 chairs. Like, I still have to physically fix them, and a lot of it is cosmetic, and I'll have to do some Bondo or whatever, but it's still annoying as all get out. Absolutely annoying. So when I say I'm scared to look at the chairs, it's because of the experience I've had with my chairs since getting them ordered, and the process of over a year trying to be comfortable sending that kind of money to a manufacturer I'd never worked with before. It's quite nerve-wracking, but everything was above board. It went through a major bank, and no problems with them whatsoever. And like I said, I would totally hire them again, but oh my gosh, the chairs. So let's go open the container. Oh wait, I want to show you what we experienced putting the container back in its spot, and then I will show you what it looks like inside the container, because we're gonna find out together. This is gross! Here is the moment of truth. Oh my goodness. Oh man. All right. So, going in. First thing I noticed was one of these milk bottles broke. Have no idea how. There's nothing close by, but something happened. And I'm not worried about those guys. I think some of this is like garage sale stuff. And I'm okay with these things being on the floor and some of that plastic stuff being on the floor, but like I said, concerned about the file cabinet because it's got files in it. Then it maneuvered itself over. And the safe, that's what that guy is. And then a random printer and a random printer on the floor. I'm not that concerned about the printers. And I believe this stack right here anyway is already a stack that needs attention, has something wrong. I can see if I get close. I can see that there is a chip right here that needs to be fixed. So I believe some of this has, that stack right there has some issues. And then we've got a full stack that's completely over. And so I'll have to double check all of those guys to see what kind of damage they might have. But it looks like the rest of them hopefully stayed upright. I don't know, it's really hard to tell because like I said, this is like 300 and it was 370 chairs. I probably got about 30 chairs inside. So we're looking at, what is the math? 370, 30, 340 chairs are in here. So it's not terrible, but like I said, I can't see anything past these first stacks. It looks like there might be one that's kind of going backwards. I will have to bring a ladder in here to get a better look, but initially it looks like we just have a turned over file cabinet, safe, printers, one stack, a stack that already needed attention. Looks like took the brunt of that falling over. This sofa that is actually one that we picked up off the side of the road is the next sofa going in for upholstery, which is why it's out here and stacked with a bunch of cushions. All in all, it's not as bad as I feared, but definitely not great. But now you know. And now I know because we got to see it together. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe to the House of Sugar Creek. And until next week, I hope you have a great weekend.